We are in full swing with the holidays going on right now, and this is my meal series where I show you how I use the basic ingredients that I keep in our house to make simple and easy meals throughout a 2-week period. This is meals number 23. This is the 23rd video of the series that started back in January of 2025. This is also where I get to share a little bit more about my family and things that are going on, even during that peak and valley kind of time during the holidays where emotions can be high and a little bit more sad at times. And it kind of shows how I plan my meals around that. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross and this is the Cross Legacy. Our grocery budget is $270 per month. I base that on our household being 2 adults at $135 per person. Also, over the course of these 2 weeks, you will see how often we have friends and family joining us for meals and how I'm able to stretch out those meals to be able to feed everybody, but it's not increasing my grocery budget. So this video is going to take us through the last 2 weeks of November, and it's right at the beginning of my grocery shopping cycle. I go grocery shopping once every 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm just getting ready to go grocery shopping right here at the beginning. That November grocery shopping haul is already up on the channel if you want to go check that out. How I was able to stay in that $270 grocery budget even with having Thanksgiving and holiday meals prepared. When we got home from grocery shopping, we also had a produce washing day where we washed all of the produce, and I filmed that video so you could see how I washed the produce. And while I was doing that, I was also cooking dinner, which was spaghetti squash, meatballs, and sausage, and then we had some garlic bread on the side. And with that, I made the marinara sauce in the meals video previous to this, meals 22, that I was able to use for this dinner, and the rest of that marinara sauce had went into the freezer. On the next night, we had sloppy joes, which is something that I had batch cooked, which had extra zucchini, peppers, and onions in that to help stretch out the meal portions for it. And then we had those on some frozen hamburger buns that were defrosted. I had made some homemade French fries to serve with the sloppy joes. So with that jar of marinara that I had in the refrigerator, I was able to make spaghetti one night and sloppy joes another night. It was still using the same ingredient, but it was totally a different meal. That sloppy joe recipe is one that we have sent out in the newsletter this year. If you would like recipe cards to come directly to your email box, make sure that you're signing up for the newsletter. That's where we put recipes first before they even make it to the blog. So this day is one of those days where the holidays can bring a lot of emotions, and it was our grandma's 97th birthday on that day, and I was filming the Christmas message video, which if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. But this is kind of an emotional day for us. It was the 2nd birthday that she has had in heaven, and we went to her favorite place that happens to be over here on the eastern side of Washington that we used to take her on the western side of Washington, and we had fish and chips, which were her favorite, and one of our kiddos joined us, and it was just a really lovely time to remember her. And on this day, I ended up pulling out some already cooked chicken out of the freezer that I was defrosting that I was going to make for dinner that night. And then we had a call that our other kiddo wanted to come over after work and was having just a bad day and wanted to hang out for a little while, which is okay. They are always welcome here. And so I was able to then add some more rice and some more veggies. I was able to make a cheesy rice vegetable dish that fed everybody. There was 5 of us instead of 2, just by adding the veggies and extra rice to that. And we all had a lovely evening hanging out together. So with that dish, I had some carrots, celery, and onions that I had, and some zucchini that I had added another extra one in there to kind of bulk it up a little bit. And we added some sliced mushrooms into the dish. And then to make the cream sauce, I put a little bit of chicken broth in there and then used a little bit of cream cheese, which helped to make it really creamy. And then I just topped that with some cheddar cheese. So the whole dish was really easy to put together, and all I had to do was saute the vegetables and then make some rice, and I was able to make that really quickly and make it stretch for the whole family. I like to show some other meals in these meal series, and one of the things that we've been making lately is making some still cut oats. I like putting those just right in my rice cooker, and then it can cook while I'm getting ready. And I love adding some chia seeds to that, which also helps regulate my blood sugars. And on this day, we got a welcoming little gift at our house of some fresh tamales that were delivered. So that was a really neat thing to be able to have for dinner, was some fresh homemade tamales. This is kind of a fun little story, but I went to the Women's Ministries Church Christmas event, and for the first time, I have been recognized in this town. So somebody messaged me later saying, "I saw you there." And it was kind of funny that somebody now knows that the Cross Legacy is in this town. Over the weekend, we went to a harvest festival, and that was just so much fun. They had huge tables full of food that we got to eat all day long, but we were making apple cider, which we got to bring home 2 jugs. One of the jugs we ended up having over Thanksgiving, and the other one I put away in the freezer. I'm kind of wishing I would have divided that into some smaller quart-sized jars, but I forgot and said just to set it in the freezer. So those are frozen. I might end up defrosting it and dividing it up a little bit more so we can spread it out a little bit more through the winter months. When I did my November grocery haul, I also got all the things for Thanksgiving, including my turkey, and I made sure when I got the turkey, I figured out how many pounds it was and exactly what day it needed to be pulled out of the freezer. Then I put a reminder on my phone, so my phone alarm went off exactly when I needed to pull it out of the freezer, so I didn't forget even after coming home from the Apple Cider Festival. I always try really hard the week of Thanksgiving not to have any chicken, because it seems like you just get burned out of the leftovers quicker if you have poultry the whole entire week. So on this day, I ended up making a chuck roast, and then we had some delicata squash with that. And then I was able to put a couple of portions aside and put them into the freezer for other meals. In the freezer, I had some filling for some stuffed cabbage rolls, and I had some baggies of shredded cabbage. But when I went to go pull it out, Mike said that he'd rather have some stuffed red peppers instead. So I ended up making him some stuffed bell peppers, and then I had it over the shredded cabbage. And we both had pretty much the same meal with just a little bit different produce items, and we were both really happy. This was actually a meatless meal that I started making about a year ago, and I love it. I need to start making it a lot more. But it is farro, which is a whole grain that I cook in chicken stock, but you could do it in veggie stock if you're trying to make it completely vegetarian. But with that cooked grain, we also had some roasted navy beans and some kale in it. And then I had some roasted butternut squash and some roasted beets with some fresh apples chopped up. And this whole meal comes together, and it just is so hearty and lovely and has such wonderful flavors that I really need to remember to make it more. And the recipe for this is on the blog. We'll make sure to link that in the description. We are full on Thanksgiving prep here at the house, and I had made a turkey brine, which makes your house just smell so lovely, and it ends up making the juiciest turkey. So we had made sure to make the brine earlier in the day so the turkey could go overnight in the cooler and get all of those flavors into the meat. One of my kiddos decided just to stay here with us for a couple days, which was really lovely. And I had them helping me do all the prep work for Thanksgiving, which included peeling the mashed potatoes and using the ricer, which I always end up convincing them to help me make a double batch of whatever we need for mashed potatoes so I can put some away in the freezer, and it just makes it so much easier for me. This year I did something a little bit different for Thanksgiving and actually cooked the turkey inside our electric roaster instead of in the oven, which was the first time I've ever done that for Thanksgiving, but it also let us free up the oven all day long so we could make all the sides. So we will see what I decide to do next year, but it was really lovely to have an open oven all day long. And I realized that I didn't take very many pictures on Thanksgiving that didn't include my family in it. And if you notice, we don't share pictures of our family, but we had mashed potatoes and my mom's broccoli casserole that we've shared a video here on the channel. And we had my sourdough sausage stuffing that I love to make. We also had homemade gravy and mac and cheese and homemade cranberry sauce. One of our favorite traditions on Thanksgiving is to make our thankful leaves. This is something that I started about 15 years ago. We're trying to remember the exact year it was, but I have hundreds of these leaves that friends and family have written on every single year, talking about the things that they're grateful for. And it's something that I love to hang up in our windows and around our house, and we look through every single one. It's just a great time of remembering and seeing the journey that our family has been on through the years. This actually happens a couple days later, but since I'm talking about the leaves, I want to talk about it right now. But on one of our team members' way home from visiting their friends and family, they got to come and check out our new house. They've only seen our house in videos, but their kiddos also got to come, and her husband, and make thankful leaves with us. And it was just a special memory to be able to share with them, and hopefully they will start this tradition at their house too. I fully believe after Thanksgiving, it is National Moms Don't Cook for a couple days weekend. So we ended up having tons of leftovers. If you've been following me for a while, you know that we got rid of our microwave last spring, and we decided not to put a new one into this house. And so this was the first time we were trying to warm up a lot of leftovers at the same time, and I didn't want them to dry out in the oven. So I found that using the trivet and steam method worked really well to warm everything up and make it exactly moist like we want it to still stay, instead of dried out if I would have put it back in the oven. So if you're interested in more ways to warm up things without using a microwave oven, if that's something that you're choosing to do, we do have a YouTube video talking about that. I did go with getting a smaller turkey this time. Normally I try to get the largest turkey that will fit in our oven, and this time I think my turkey was only 16 pounds, if I remember correctly, instead of like 22 pounds, which we did notice when it came to having leftovers. We weren't able to have turkey sandwiches as long as we normally do. So normally we're able to have turkey sandwiches over the weekend, and then I still slice some up to put in the freezer so we can pull it back out over the coming months, because we love to have sourdough bread turkey sandwiches with cranberry sauce on them. So next time I do want to make sure that I don't get the smaller turkey and I still get a larger turkey, just so we can have the leftovers. And again, because it was Thanksgiving weekend and I was really tired, I decided not to make the turkey stock right then, and we just put the carcass in a large bag and put it in the freezer, and I'll be pulling that out probably after the holidays to make turkey stock. On this day, we ended up doing a little bit of a road trip, so we were able to do a family tradition that we've done forever now, and that was cutting down our own Christmas tree. We were so thankful that we did find a location that was near us, well, kind of near us. It was still a drive, that we were able to have a similar experience that we've had with our kiddos since they were little. And with that, we ended up having a tailgate picnic before we ended up heading back, and had some sandwiches just sitting on the back of the truck, and then had some snacks for the road trip home. On this day, we were kind of tired of leftovers. I still didn't really want to cook, but I had some frozen beef stew in the freezer that was actually left over from Halloween that I was able to pull out and warm that up, and we had beef stew for dinner, which was a nice change, and I didn't have to do anything because I was in the middle of trying to take down all of the fall decorations and get Christmas put up. And with that, we are done with Thanksgiving weekend and now moving into December, which will be on our 24th meals video. So make sure that you are hitting subscribe and you get notifications for the next time a video comes out. To keep track of all of these details, I keep track of all of the meals that I made here in my grocery planner, and this is also where I keep track of the ingredients that I have in my house and things that I need to start looking at to purchase. And anytime I have an idea of a meal that I want to make, I also jot that down. It really makes meal planning easy, knowing which ingredients I already have in our house. So make sure that you're checking out our grocery and meal planners. These are linked in the description with our zero waste produce guide.